Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we all doing? Whew, happy Samhain, happy All Hallows Eve, happy Dia de los Muertos, week of, happy Taurus Super Full Moon. This week, as we move from October into November, is chock full. And honestly, this Scorpio season is chock full. Over at Circle, I actually did a breakdown of all of the things that are happening over the course of the cycle from the moment that the sun entered Scorpio until the moment that the sun enters Sagittarius. If you want to head over, it's in the community hub. You can check it out. There's links below. But as we move into this week, Prodigy or Three Eye Atlas has just released from perihelion. It's still traveling behind the sun. We are experiencing the week of summer's end. Samhain, the Celtic tradition of what it translates to in English is summer's end. And the full moon lunation that's occurring during this week is the largest moon, which means, like Prodigy being at its closest point to the sun, it is the moment of 2025 when the moon is the closest to Earth, casting this huge bright spotlight. And it's in Scorpio season, so it's casting this huge bright spotlight into the deepest depths of our being. And when we feel how Samhain, All Hallows Eve, is celebrated on the 31st of October, which happens to be when I'm recording this transmission, this update. And we come into the All Hallows Day, that celebration of deepening into from where we came and honoring of ancestors that is then celebrated on the 2nd of November with Dia de los Muertos. And then we come into the evening, the eve of the full moon. On the 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, we come into the Taurus full moon, and it is the first of a cycle of full moons occurring at the 13 degree of their sign. There will be 4 of them. And then on the 6th, we find Venus shifting from Libra into Scorpio. We find the astrological date of Samhain as well. Let's look at the energetics, the astrological happenings and happenstances around this very, very, very large Taurus super full moon, shall we? Like I said, the sun and the moon, sun at 13 degrees, that witching degree of Scorpio, moon at 13 degrees, that witching degree of Taurus. Here we're invited to play with the movement between Taurus and Scorpio. Scorpio, the sign associated with power, the sign associated with occulted wisdom, with our intuition, with underworld or shamanic journeying, with shadow work. Taurus is that which we are possessed of. It is manifestation. It is earthy energy. And it is also where Uranus is still spinning backwards, right? As we come into this full moon, Mars will be tickling into, I'm sorry, Uranus is spinning backwards towards Taurus, not in it. Every once in a while, I get a little ahead of myself. So Mars, on the day of this full moon, is coming into the 0 degree of Sagittarius and will be directly across from Uranus, spinning for those last couple of rotations at the 0 degree of Gemini. On the 9th, Uranus will tip back in. Is it the 9th? It's the 7th of November. Uranus will tip back in to Taurus again. On the 9th, we will find Mercury stationing retrograde in Sagittarius. As we're coming into this full moon, energetically, Mercury is already starting to slow down and will be coming into the degree where the turnaround will happen just after the full moon. The season with which this full moon is occurring is associated with the donning of costumes. And this is part of the energetic of this particular lunation. When we feel that energy of Taurus and Scorpio moving within one another, we are exploring those energies of our relationship to personal power, to the power that is innately part of our being, to the wisdom, the intuition that is innately within us, to that part of us that knows. And if you caught the Prodigy or Three Eye Atlas perihelion video, you'll know that part of the energetic that we're navigating during this cycle, when we have all these new moons at the 28th degree of their sign, and starting with this one, we have all these full moons at the 13th degree of their sign, which is running through the rest of this year and into the eclipse season that starts the next. We are exploring discernment. Part of discernment is coming into connection with those things which we are and those things which we are not. That which we are possessed of. Taurus's I statement, if you will, is I possess, and it invites us to explore those things which we innately manifest, and how we navigate what we were told we were supposed to be with the truth of our being. The truth of our being. Now, speaking of truth, we have a lot of energy in Sagittarius during this full moon. As I mentioned, Mars tickles in just as this full moon finds its peak, which will be at 5:19 a.m. in the Pacific time zone on the 5th of November. At that moment, we find Medusa also in Sagittarius, exactly conjunct the Galactic Center. And we remember that sometimes we wear costumes because we feel afraid to show the truth of who we are. And then we feel how at the moment of this full moon, Eris will have retrograded into the 24th degree of Aries, meeting up with Chiron again, who's still there. And we can feel Magdalena at 25 degrees of Leo, and we start to understand that there is a very purifying grand friar trine during this lunation, this brightest, closest moon to us, the closest moon to the earth, while in a very earthy earth sign. In that sign of making manifest, right? The earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, each have their own sort of dichotomy, right? Virgo is all-inclusive, whole unto self energy. Capricorn is about our bones and our structure, the foundations, right? It's that kind of masculine. We have a Virgo feminine earthy sign and a Capricorn masculine earthy sign, Taurus, invites us to feel the fullness of our creative potential. It invites us to feel those places where it is stuck. I woke up this morning feeling into this Taurus full moon and where we are in the current of energy as we've come out of that Libra new moon, which was at 28 degrees of Libra, which is also where Venus will be on this full moon, bringing us into contact with that cycle, beginning energy. And the peace that I felt is this sense of a skipping record, jumping grooves. You get caught, get called back into an energetic. You revisit it once again. Feel where you can jump out of it and then get connected into that energetic from a different place once again. 2813, 2813, 2813. Kind of like that 676767 that the kids are all saying right now, right? 2813, 2813. Medusa, conjunct the Galactic Center. Medusa, conjunct the Galactic Center. Medusa's energy, part of what we experience when we connect to the archetypal energy of Medusa, is the removing of masks. So on this lunation that's occurring during the season, the festival of costume donning, we find ourselves being invited to remove our masks, to feel why they're there, to feel how they got put into place, to feel where they might still serve, and what each layer of the mask actually reveals to us. Part of Medusa's energy is reclamation, and this is also part of Magdalena's energy, and they are almost exactly trying to one another. We have Eris and Chiron. What is the wound of being true whole self? How do I feel about the idea of taking off the mask that I wear at the dinner table with my family, at the office, at school, at my yoga retreat, in conversation with my family or with my friends? These are all questions that this beautiful, brilliant, huge spotlight of the Taurus full moon shining a light on. Scorpio is the deepest parts of us, our emotionality in particular, those waters of our being that run deep. It's the groundwater. It is the pond of dark, dank water from which the lotus grows, nutrient rich. It is the taboo that through our exploration of transformation occurs. I said earlier that we have a whole lot going on in Sagittarius right now, and we sure do. So, like I said before, we have Mars. Mars is exactly conjunct the rose dragons, in fact, at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, coming into that energy of seeking for higher truth as this full moon blooms. Then we find Mercury at 5 degrees, getting ready for its 6-degree Sagittarius turnaround, which will occur on the 9th of November. Very much in shadow already. Then we find Hecate, guardian of the crossroads, queen of the witches at 8 degrees of Sagittarius. So we're feeling all of this movement of who am I? How do I express myself? Come to that crossroads and experience, where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? Ooh. Juno at 11 degrees, almost conjunct the great attractor. Our sense of belonging amplified in this sign of truth-seeking, exploration, higher education. Where the sun, towards the end of the month of November, will journey as well. And then we find Sekhmet, Sophia, and Vesta. And all three of them are part of the grand fire trine that we are moving through. Sekhmet invites that divine mother and that demon slayer to come through together within us. That part of us that roars like a lion. And at 22 degrees, we're really starting to pick up the momentum of this Sagittarian journey that we will experience even more so towards the end of the month. Can you feel how we're experiencing cycles within cycles, and we're exploring as we put a tendril out, seeking for what is to come? We're experiencing what might need to be shaken loose, burned away in the where we are, the groove we're stuck in, that we're emerging from. Sophia is that wisdom that comes from these journeys, that gnosis. Vesta is the fire that burns and purifies, and it's the home hearth. And then we come into those Virgo energies again, right? Speaking of the Virgo energies, this full moon finds the sun trining the south node. Or sorry, let's reverse that, shall we? Finds the moon trining the south node and the sun trining the north node, with sextiles bridging the other sides. So we can feel how this full moon is alighting our destiny path. We are feeling the where we have been, and then exploring our ancestral, our blood lineages, all of that which we honor and celebrate in this Sahmain, Dia de los Muertos, All Hallows season. We're coming into contact not just with the where we have been as our current physical incarnation, but also the blood that we carry in our veins, the DNA, all of our ancestors that came before us, as we come into contact also with our forecasters, all that will come after us. And we experience the wholeness of our soul journey in union with not just the blood, but with all that we connect with while we're here, with the animals and the plants, with the elements, the air, the fire, water, the earth, with every other soul that's having an incarnation journey, and with all the stars that interact with ours. And we feel this movement. Feel this movement, this light cascading from within and from without us. And we feel this bridging of all that has occurred and all that will occur and how all of it's happening simultaneously. And this is part of what this full moon is offering, a remembering of the costume that we're wearing. As Medusa sits atop the Galactic Center, that we are all simply cosplaying. I'm cosplaying Hillary, this white blonde woman who is talking into this camera right now, sharing wisdoms with you all. My true self is the universe, just as it is yours. So feeling how we can never, not truly while we're in our human form, remove all of the masks unless we remove our physical form. And part of what we're doing instead is finding those places where our costume and our true self conform. Feeling that part of us that is multitudinous, that contains so much and so much more. And we shine this light, we connect with this bright moon, and we play and we dance. And this is the season of playing and dancing in the harvest, in the moon light. For those of us in the northern hemisphere, we are coming into the darkness. For those of us in the southern hemisphere, we're coming into the renewal of light. And we get to play with that truth that it is all occurring. And it is a cycle within a cycle within a cycle. So how will you ritual in this time of ritual, in this thin, thin, thin veils with this bright spotlight? What is your true identity within the costumes? I'm going to share a fun little story. When I was a kid and it was trick-or-treating and wearing a costume, I wore basically the exact same costume every single year. I was enamored with new wave punk culture, but I was a little young to be fully immersed in it. So I, every year for Halloween, dressed as that because that was what I was seeking. Sagittarian energy is also about seeking. What are you seeking? And one of the ways we can play with this is, what are the things that call to you in the TV or movies that you watch? What are the things that call to you in the books that you read? Where is your attention most often drawn? There's this old story of like, if you were living in a movie, what movie type would it be? Would it be a rom-com? Would it be a dramedy? Would it be a sci-fi? Deep space exploration? How is your story unfolding within you? And where can you shift some perspective about how you're meant to live that story? Because part of this energy is coming into contact with that which no longer serves, so that you can come into your truest purpose. Let's feel for a minute. Rituals of shedding. Rituals of shedding. Feel the shedding of a snake's skin in this year of the snake. Coming into that capacity that is innate within all of us to be a shapeshifter, which is one of the energies of the Scorpio season as well. Scorpions also shed their skin. Feeling how sometimes it is no longer in service to wear a costume. Perhaps showing up at Halloween as your true self, or the truest self you can access in this moment, is what serves right now. This is a time for honoring all that came before, all that is to come, and all that is in the infinite now. And I think that's where we'll leave. You may be curious what's going on at the 28s and 13s in your chart. And if that is true for you, these could be some really fun places to navigate. And sometime in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a special update just talking about the 28s and 13s of the astrological wheel. And we did talk about it in our Libra New Moon Circle over on Circle. So if it calls to you to come over, come on over. It would be amazing to ritual with you over the course of this week as well. Thank you, for all of you, for every costume you've ever worn and every costume that you ever will wear, and all of the various shades of your spectral light, every part of you that shines bright, and those parts of you that still want to stay hidden. May they find their way when the time is right. With so much and many loves, as always, in the always, from the dimensions of the all and beyond, beyond.